In this study, we examined education as a potential buffer for the effects of discrimination on depression. The effects of discrimination are physically and mentally harmful, with depression being associated to discrimination consistently in all groups it has been studied in. Prior research has suggested that education has some moderating effects on the relationship of discrimination to health. However, evidence of education as a buffer of the effects of discrimination to depression is limited. We examined the buffering effects of education on the relationship of discrimination to depression in 3 cross-sectional studies. The first study included a diverse sample of adults drawn from a local community medical center. The second included a sample of Black students and community members. And the third consisted of American Indian Alaskan natives, recruited from Denver, Colorado. Discrimination was measured with the Brief Perceived Ethnic Discrimination Scale, community version, in all 3 samples. To measure depression, the diverse sample and American Indian Alaskan Native sample used the CES-D scale revised, while the all-Black individual sample used the SCL-90 revised. Finally, to assess education, participants' education levels were either categorized as one of 2 groups, completed less than or equal to a high school degree, or completed some college or more. There were significant positive relationships between discrimination and depression in every sample. Education was not related to depression in any of the 3 studies. In the diverse and all-Black sample, education was not related to discrimination, but in the American Indian Alaskan Native sample, those with higher education levels reported more discrimination. Education did not buffer the effects of the relationship of discrimination on depression in the all-Black sample and the American Indian Alaskan Native sample. There was a small buffering effect seen on the diverse sample. The relationship of discrimination to depression was significant for both high and low education groups, but the effects were stronger for those with low education. This evidence suggests that education is not a consistent moderator on the effects of discrimination on depression. This may indicate that social and cognitive resources may not be enough to offset the mental health effects of discrimination, and that further research is needed to identify buffers on that relationship.